Today I've come upon a realization that I think is going to change my life, so I'm here to share with you, and if you have time to listen, then it might just change your life too. This might not be the video you want to watch because it's unedited, it's unscripted, all the rest. But it's definitely a video that you need to watch, so pay attention. Let's differentiate between wants and needs first of all, because some people don't really know the difference. Wants are usually temporary, they're impulsive. It's what we want in the moment. It's usually not a good thing. It's usually something that is very unimportant to our actual purpose or our general lives. Needs are essential needs. And you kind of hear people misuse the two words or use them incorrectly. So you may see yourself or other people saying, I need this jacket. I need those shoes. I need this car, this house. I need this, whatever it is. So they misuse that word, but they actually do not need it, they want it. And this is the correct use of that term. You don't want to watch this video, but you need to watch this video because there's a lot of value to be gained in here. Because like I said, life-changing. Also to mention, men usually do not need a hug. And a hug can be in many forms. A hug can be provided physically by a person. A hug can be provided by a substance like alcohol or a crutch like marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it. Some people take hugs in forms of antidepressants. Some people take hugs in many different forms. So they're basically our crutches. And many different people use many different coping mechanisms, so they're kind of like hugs. A video game is a hug. Anything that lets you escape from life is a hug. And we as men, we do not grow through getting hugs. We do not grow through comforting. Now women, on the other hand, they grow on comforting. If you comfort the woman and say, no, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine, they kind of get through and they're fine. But usually men, we don't really need a hug. We don't need some kind of confirmation. No, it's okay, everything will be okay. Like that's what you want to hear in the moment. You want someone to come up to you and say, oh, it's okay, everything will be fine. Let's say you lost your job. Oh no, it's okay, you'll get another job. Or let's say you relapse and you start like smoking weed again and you haven't smoked weed in like 3 months, and what you want to hear is, oh, it's okay that you smoke weed, and it's only once, you'll be fine. You want to hear that advice, but what you need to hear is you need someone to call you a dumbass. You need someone to hold you accountable and say, what are you doing with your life? You were doing so well for 3 months. What is going on? Like, what's changed? What are you doing with your life? That's what you need to hear. But a lot of people are not comfortable hearing this, what would we say, criticism. A lot of people are not open to criticism. And on the same note, a lot of people are not even open to criticisms from their closest family, their friends. But what you need is to be very accepting of this criticism that you should be getting constantly as a man, because that's what's going to make you grow. Think about it. Do men grow through comforting or do they grow through challenge? A challenge is in front of you. There's a wall and you need to climb this wall to get through it, right? We don't usually need motivation. It's discipline that we want. So now, on to my realization that I think is a gold mine. So I've only thought about it today, and I was watching a video on YouTube, and it was a simple video. It was about a guy building a mobile camper van, and basically, long story short, he bought a trailer, he built a camper van using wood on the trailer, and the video was around 12 minutes long. The process itself took 3 months, maybe even 4 months, a whole summer and even more. That's how long the project actually took. What was presented to me was a video of 12 minutes long. Now, this is okay in most times, and it's okay if you do it infrequently, but if you watch this kind of content frequently, then what happens is this gives you a very false perspective of how the world works. This gives you a very false idea of what hard work means. So what happens to us as human beings is, if we consume too much content like this short form, compressed content where you see 3 months of progress or even more somewhere, I'll give more examples later on, but you see like 3 months compressed into 12 minutes. What happens to us is we become lazy. We become impatient when we try to embark something that's more difficult for us. As human beings, we try to, let's say we try to do a project of our own one day. We try to make, build a shed. We try to build a shed in the backyard of our house, a shed to hold tools. And we start making this shed, and we get all the wood, we get all the required instruments, all the required material to build a shed. And halfway, we give up. We say, this is too difficult. I'm just going to hire someone and make this shed for me. I'm not going to embark on this journey to challenge myself and build this shed because it's too difficult. And why is your perception of this shed that it's a difficult thing to do? Why is it like that? Well, first of all, it's because you don't have experience. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, that I see the most important thing, is because you have been exposed to too much content or media, whatever you want to call it, whatever you visualize it yourself, too much media that is unrealistic, that is compressed. So our minds usually just see this, okay, well, it's back to the example of the 12-minute camper build. You see, okay, that's really good. It motivates us. It's like, okay, it's a very nice build. It looks like something I'd really like to do. But when you try to do it yourself, you realize that it's definitely not going to take you 12 minutes. It's going to take you a lot more than 3 months will, because maybe that person had experience, maybe they had help, but it's going to take you like 6 months to actually go through that challenge and do something like this yourself. But having this unrealistic expectation really sets us back. It makes us impatient. And I can see this from myself, how I grew up. I grew up watching a lot of content on YouTube. I grew up watching so many videos on all different topics. Build, campervan build, you name it. All kinds of different short videos. The same way we watch the fitness motivation where people go through a transformation. They say 1 year transformation, bodybuilding, or if you're trying to lose weight, you see someone making a transformation within 1 year. But what we get presented is a 10-minute video, if even. And it gets worse. I'll explain why. And as we start the journey, we realize that it's a lot more difficult than what we have been shown. And psychologically, we are not ready for this as human beings. We are not ready for this kind of information compression, right? We're not ready for that. Why are we not ready for that? Well, because go back 100 years ago, that was not available to us. We have not had anything like it 100 years ago. Now, I don't know. I just know from how history is. But if you wanted to see someone build a house, let's say your neighbor across the road was building a house from wood, you went out and he's like, okay, this guy's building a house. And 1 year later, you see, okay, this guy is almost finished. And 2 years later, you see him moving into his new house. And that's okay. That's realistic. But now what you get presented with so commonly and so frequently is TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, movies. Movies are like an hour and a half long, right? But those short form videos that we get presented so frequently now, and every single app does it. YouTube, wherever you watch this, you probably have a 10-second video showing 3 months of progress, 6 months of progress, even more. Sometimes a 10-second video will show you 10 years of progress. And this is damaging for our brains. This is so damaging for our brains if we consume this type of content frequently. Because, again, I don't know, I can't speak about women. I can't speak about women, what women get from that kind of content. But as a man, we get lazy. We get complacent. we get impatient. And those things, laziness, impatience, complacency, they're destructive to us. They are completely destructive to our mental state, to our brains. If we are impatient, then we are not able to build discipline. If we are impatient, we are not able to do anything that is difficult in life. And if we're not able to do anything that's difficult in life, then we don't achieve anything in life. It's just how it goes. And this is all because we are presented with too many false ideas. No, okay, let me rephrase. Not false ideas, but false expectations. The idea isn't false itself, but what we perceive is way different. And I've noticed such a downfall in my mental health when I watch too much content that's unrealistic. It's all because when as men, again, we get presented with too much too quickly, we are just stuck in dreamland. We are stuck believing that we're not capable to do this. We are stuck believing that we're not going to be able to do that sort of thing that we are shown. Because over time, you watch video after video, movie after movie, where a transformation happens so rapidly. And you start to believe that you're just lazy. You just start to believe that idea that you're lazy, that you're incapable of doing this work. Because over time, giving up becomes a habit, right? You give up once, you give up twice, and you form a habit of giving up. And getting presented with too many false expectations, or whatever you want to give it, what name you want to give that kind of media content, we become quitters. I don't mean to be some kind of David Goggins or motivational speaker here, but we become quitters. From impatience, from lack of determination, lack of dedication, lack of discipline, we become quitters. That's just from my own experience. And you build a habit of becoming a quitter. And before you see this meme where this miner is striking through a lot of rocks, and there's like diamonds in the distance, and he's striking the rock, and he gets this much away from the actual diamonds themselves, and he turns back and says, "I've given up." But then another person comes over and he strikes the diamonds in 10 seconds, whatever it is. You've seen that meme. So we become like that first guy. We give up on any journey that we embark because we have been just conditioned to believe that things are a lot more simple than they actually are. And we are unwilling to do hard work. We're unwilling to stay consistent because we have too much entertainment on our hands, to our disposal. There's an abundance of entertainment. Just think about how many entertainment things, what would we call them? Entertainment niches, entertainment providers. How many are there in total that provide entertainment for us? There are too many. Off the top of my head, I can think of all of the movie providers like Netflix that you end up just scrolling most of the time, just looking for a movie instead of watching one, because you're giving with so much choice that you're just like, oh, what am I going to watch? And you're presented with all this choice. You're spoiled. You're spoiled for choice. You don't even know what you want to watch. So much entertainment that you just want the next best thing. It's like watching a Mr. Beast video, right? A Mr. Beast video is like 10 minutes long, and you get so much dopamine within the 10 minutes. There's like a million different frames that you get shown in 10 minutes. Explosions and cars being crashed here and there, trains going into pits, and $1 million this, and are you really going to expect to do some hard work after watching a Mr. Beast video? Or any other sensory overloading video? Because the way our brains work, right, is if we get a certain amount of dopamine, okay, let's say we get 50% dopamine from one video that we watch, or a thing we do. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a video, but we get 50% dopamine from a certain action that we complete or we do. The next time after we finish this video or action or whatever we do, our brain wants more than 50% of dopamine. It wants 55-60% dopamine. You're not satisfied with 40%, 30%, because this is going to make you bored. It makes you bored when you get presented with something that has less dopamine than you previously watched. And that becomes a problem, because what I'm afraid of is that we are presented with so much short form content nowadays. And I'm not really concerned about people my age, but I'm mostly concerned about people that are younger, that are in their teenage years at the moment. That's the generation that I'm really concerned about, because if they get so much false expectations, especially the boys, the so-to-be men, if they get presented with so many false expectations at such a early age, then what is going to become of their lives? Are they going to be able to do any difficult task? Are they going to be able to do anything that actually amounts to something in life? That's what I'm worried about. And for myself, I noticed that it's just much better not to engage in watching any short form content, whatever it may be, at all. I've quit Instagram more than a month ago. I've quit most of the social media. I didn't have many, but I quit all of them. And I used to watch a lot of Instagram Reels. I don't watch them anymore. I used to watch YouTube Shorts. I don't watch them anymore. And I've hit a certain level that I cannot even watch something that is a 12-minute long video about a camper build without getting my expectations heightened. Or lowered in that case. I just know that if I was to do the same thing, it would be a lot more difficult just because I've seen something like that. It's like watching a Disney movie about a princess and a prince, and you see this happy ending and this perfect scenario. But life isn't a perfect scenario. We get presented with too many perfect scenarios in life. Overall, media is just, it's presenting something that is completely unrealistic, and our brains are not able to distinguish between anything that we get shown, forced. It's pretty much being forced to watch that kind of stuff nowadays. If you don't want to watch it, you're still going to get like presented an ad somewhere, or someone's going to show you something. It's pretty much being forced information. But what you're being forced is a perfect narrative, or so you believe it to be. And you quickly find out that life isn't perfect. It's far from it. That it's actually quite difficult. And you can make the same link. You get shown something that's so perfect, that's so out of reach, that then you believe that it's something that you can easily attain, but once you actually start doing this, or trying to attain the thing that you're shown is so easily attainable, that you just view yourself as a loser, because you wonder, how did this person attain this thing and you can't? And you start to devalue yourself. Your value as a person drops, your mental health drops. Your perception of yourself completely diminishes. And that's not what you want. That's not what you want in life. You don't want your value to diminish. Because as your value diminishes, your respect for yourself diminishes. It goes away. Your respect for yourself completely goes away. And as your respect for yourself goes away, you fall into your old bad habits, because when you have no respect for yourself, you just do bad habits. You just do bad things in general. Because, it all stems from respect towards yourself. So you fall into the bad habits that you've had. And you fall into one bad habit, and what's another one? What's another bad habit? So you know. And it's very deep. It's very deep. From overconsumption of short-term content, I can think of 1,000 ways of how our lives can actually go really, really wrong. And just by not consuming this content frequently, or as frequently as I used to, I can see major effects. I can see such a difference in how my brain works, that it's like the results, they're a little bit unbelievable. Like the way your brain works overall, the way you're able to process things. If you have ADHD, which I kind of think I have, your ADHD gets better. You become more focused on things. Anyways, that's about it for this video. In conclusion, the less entertainment that you watch, the less that you entertain yourself in general, the better your outcomes are just going to be. The better outcome you're going to get from life, the less you entertain yourself as a man. I can't speak for women. But as a man, the less you entertain yourself and more you work hard, which is the most common advice you're going to get, the better the outcome you're going to get from life. And the less you consume, the less content you consume, the less media you watch, the easier it is going to be to do the hard work. Because you're not going to have this false expectation of how things are supposed to be or how things are. When you embark a journey, you're actually just going to be like, okay, you figure things out as you go. You're like, okay, this is maybe a bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but still keep going. Don't quit. So there's a lot of things I uncovered in this video. I hope you can somehow decipher the message that I just gave you and put it into your own words. Put it into your own ways, because the way I explain things may not make sense to a lot of people. It may make a lot of sense to some people, but what you have to do is decipher information and make it make sense for you. That's what you're going to get from any kind of video or book you read. You'll need to decipher it and make it make sense for your own words and your own brain, because we are all so individual. And if I was to go and make a video for each and every single individual, it would be a very long video, or there would be so many of them, because we're so different. We're all so different. We all have different ways of learning, different ways of perceiving information, different ways of everything, different ways of thinking, different words we want to use, different words we understand. I'm not even getting into languages. But if you want a more authentic experience, and if you want individual advice, if you have some kind of troubles in life at the moment and you're unsure of something or you want guidance, then I can provide that for you in a one-to-one coaching call. That is just a video like this. You're talking to me, but I'm giving you individual advice. I'm giving you something that is more valuable than a video like this, because then I can speak in your language. Well, not specifically your language, but you know what I mean. So the coaching calls will be down in the description. Affordable, and they're 1 hour long, so there can be a lot uncovered in 1 hour. If you're at A at the moment, we can probably get you to B, maybe even C or D. There's definitely results to be got. So that's it for this video. I hope that you can decipher it and integrate it into your own life, because if you just watch this video for mental stimulation, which there's not that much in this video overall, but if you watch it for mental stimulation, you're not going to do much in life. But if you watch it and you make notes and you integrate things, decipher them, word it in your own way, and apply it to your life, everything that I've said is going to cause you success and nothing else. Again, thank you for watching, and as always, peace.